What it is, ho? What's up? Can a veteran get some cut? Welcome to episode 2 of the Barracks Bunny Podcast. I know it has been forever and ever and ever since episode 1, but let me tell you what had happened. All right, so I did episode 1. I forgot when I did it. I was living in Atlanta at the time, and I thought I was going to keep it up, but life happened. Since then, I have moved to Mexico. Viva la Mexico. I had to get up out the United States. I actually came down here to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico in 2024, which would be last year. I was down here for a veterans retreat. It was actually a veteran psychedelic retreat with Heroic Hearts. Originally, actually, let me back it up a little bit more than that. Psychedelic therapy, and I'm going to talk about this later in the episode. Psychedelic therapy actually came on my radar while I was in grad school, while I was getting my master's in social work from the illustrious Clark Atlanta University, where they teach you to find a way or make one. And I actually was going to do my master's paper on psychedelic therapy, but I chickened out and did it on the St. Louis desegregation program. So basically, not really chickened out. Is after this was about 2016. I didn't think there was going to be enough um, research to find, and then also too, I was trying to work a full time job. I was trying to go to grad school, which it was a part time program, but it actually felt like a full time program. And I wasn't trying to spend too much time doing a damn paper. So I was like, let me go the easy way out. I actually should have gone the easier way out and just copied and pasted my paper that I did in undergrad, which was the disparities in mental health treatment. Basically, that paper was on there's not enough services for black folks. Gotta love it though. But anyway, all right. So fast forward, I was looking for psychedelic therapy retreats. I was actually looking for ayahuasca retreats for veterans, and I came across Heroic Hearts. I applied, forgot about it. They got back to me, and they were like, I got through the screening process, and then I was supposed to do ayahuasca, but in Peru. But what happened is that I was misdiagnosed by the VA with bipolar. I was trying to be as forthright as possible. I was like, hey, I got this bipolar diagnosis. I knew that I was going to do a retreat eventually at some point, and then also too, I was tired of being on the medications they were giving me. So to do ayahuasca, to do any psychedelic therapy, you're not supposed to be on SSRIs. Um, but they were saying, hey, you got this diagnosis. We don't feel comfortable with you partaking in the medicine. And well, the people running the retreat didn't feel comfortable. And so like I was bummed out. I was actually doing Uber at the time, and I was like, "Hey, give me a minute. Let me process this." And it took me a little minute to process because I was going in. I was really, really, really. I wanted some healing. I was tired of PTSD kicking my ass. I was tired of just being the angry veteran all the time, getting triggered so much. And also, I had at the time I was dealing with insomnia, and then also teeth grinding, nightmares. Like I would be shaking in my sleep, like all that stuff. And also on top of that, I had a lot of trauma, but from before I joined the army. And so I was bummed out because I was, after a while, you kind of get desperate. You're looking for help. You're looking for a cure. Um, Bookmark that whole cure thing later because I'm gonna talk about, that trap that a lot of people can fall into right there. But then they were like, I called them back and they're like, all right, well, can't do the ayahuasca, but we do have a psilocybin retreat, which is, if you're not familiar, psilocybin is the magic mushrooms. They were like, hey, we got a psilocybin retreat in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and would you be interested? And I'm like, yeah. And the reason why I say it like that is because I had done shrooms before. I'd actually done a hero's dose of shrooms. I played around with mushrooms before. It was cool, I really felt like it did decrease my my depression, but I wanted to, like, I was looking for that super big breakthrough. I thought it was going to be the breakthrough that got me through a lot of stress with the PTSD, and also, solving this Rubik's Cube in my head of, hey, I got these gifts, talents, and abilities, but it's not reflecting with my paycheck. Like, yeah, I'm out here, hustling, doing Uber again. And so they were like, all right. And it's what's funny is because when you go through when you sign up for the program, they ask you, hey, your order of preference of, locations you want to go. Do you want to, they had my first order was, of course, ayahuasca in Peru. And my last preference was Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with the psilocybin. And it's funny how everything works out. God is the greatest comedian of all time. And so I was like, all right, I'll take it. Got down here to, I'm going to leave. I'm going to talk about more of this later because we're going to get to psychedelic therapy. So got down there and did this, did the medicine. And after I came, out of it, because we were got to Puerto Vallarta, we actually did the medicine on the island of Yalapa. And so after when I'm coming to, I look across the water and it's like a beam of sun shining down on Puerto Vallarta. I'm like, God, is this the promised land? I was like, fuck it. So get back to the States, and I was feeling better, but all the struggles and stress came right on back. Like I got back, I could instantly feel the anxiety of the hustle and bustle of the rat race of living in the States, especially living in Atlanta. My insomnia came back because while I was in Mexico, I got some good sleep without meds. So I'm back on, the insomnia tip, and still getting agitated. And I'm like, what the fuck? I did have some, breakthroughs here and there, but it was like a lot of old stuff's coming, and I'm like, all right, because while I was down in PV, I was like, hey, yo, one of the guys, I was like, hey, how much is, because she lived down there. I was like, how much does it cost of living down here? Oh, she was like, you can live down here, off of like $1,500 a month USD. And I was like, shit, bet. I'm already getting 100% from the VA. And I was like, all right. So at first I was like, oh, if I work really, 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 really hard, then I'll be able to live down here part time. But then I got back to the Atlanta, and I'm like, I didn't want to make a hasty decision. And so I was like, all right, I was thinking about it, and then during one of my meditations, it was just like, fuck it. I tried this whole pursuing my dreams here in Atlanta with the comedy, with the art, with the music. I gave it a good 2-year run, and it wasn't where I thought it should have been. Like I wasn't making no fucking money at all. Like I was going doing comedy spots. The most I had made from comedy was $50, and so I was doing that. I got blackballed from like 3 spots. And just wasn't nothing really moving to the point where I was making money off of it. So I was like, all right, well, my lease ends in November. Let's do it. Let's go. And so at first I was like, do I really want to tell a lot of people? I was like, yeah, I need to, because I need an accountability partner. I need to make up an accountability partner because, because when I got back, I was thinking, because I'm a dog, I wasn't trying to fly, and I looked, and Americans, we don't know shit about geography outside the United States, and I looked, and it was a 33-hour drive, and I was like, what the fuck? Because it was a 4-hour flight from Atlanta to Puerto Vallarta, and this is the southwest side of Mexico. Of course, all the black folks, they go to Playa del Carmen. Yo, stay y'all black asses over there, okay? Hey, I needed a break from my people. I love y'all, but I needed a break. And so I was like, all right, you know what? Let me turn this into an adventure. I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw away as much stuff as possible. Pack up my car, pack up my dog, and we're going to take a cross-country road trip. And so that's what I did. I drove all the way from Atlanta I stopped in Louisville, Kentucky for a few hours. Saw my partner's mom, who I knew from childhood, and then from Louisville to St. Louis, where I'm from. So I stayed in St. Louis for a few days, saw some folks, saw my grandma, and then from St. Louis to Kansas City. While in Kansas City, my brother lives there, so I stayed with him there for a few days, and then from Kansas City, I drove out to Colorado Springs. I was stationed. I used to be stationed at Fort Carson, so that was the last place I was stationed before I got out. Last place I was stationed before I got out of the army, and also I knew some people out there. I knew one of my homeboys. Shout out to Coop. We served in 2-8 FA and 2 SCR together. Went to Iraq together. So he stays up in Littleton, Colorado. So I went out and saw him up there. And then I saw one of my old number one man. Was he my number one man? Yeah, my number one man. He was my gunner when I certified, and then he was my number one man when I got third place in the Top Gun competition. And shout out to Rob. We had a good talk. We actually went to the pho place that he first took me to. He put me on the pho, and so we went there, had a great talk. It was great to catch up. Glad he was doing good. And he told me that after I left, he ended up taking over the section, and he ended up winning Top Gun. And I was like, I was so like that moment right there was. And this is a testament of a true leader, is the fact that my proudest moment wasn't while I was in. It was the fact that my soldier took over that section after I left. He learned everything he needed to learn. He took that section. He won Top Gun. Some people are like, oh, shouldn't you be jealous? I'm like, no, like I won. Like I was so proud that I won third. Like, and for a while during the competition, we were actually in first place, but damn, degraded ops messed me up because we were on the paladin. And people were like, well, you came from the 198. I was like, well, shit. I was ammo team chief, and I was assistant gunner. So all that degraded ops stuff. Like I learned that. Like I got a crash course on I'm fucking it up. Degraded ops. But yeah, I was so proud of that. And then also too, the one Top Gun. Like I saw the extra work that they had to do afterwards. I know I would have won it, afterwards if I would have stayed in. But it was like, no, I was supposed to win third, and so, but just hearing him talk about that, I was so proud. And then also too, I end up because I had gone damn near 2 years without. Did that 2 years? Well, at least a year. I had gone at least a year and change without smoking weed. I needed a break. I was smoking way too much. The anxiety of smoking was just. I was going through a zip every 5 days, and so I was like, you know what? I stopped. I went through the VA's SATP program, I think, whatever their substance abuse program. Check it out if you need some help. Along with that, I did give up alcohol during that time. But when I got to Colorado, I was like, "Hey, it's legal." I went to the dispensary. It was a wonderful process because I was paranoid about buying street weed because heard these rumors about fentanyl being in the weed, and I was like, "All right, so y'all be careful." But yeah, did that. Got that good Colorado weed. Weed. It was great. I was getting some good sleep. I also saw young lady Ebony. Yeah, who we when I was first stationed in Carson, because I was stationed in Carson at first. Went to Iraq with a 329 FA. Came back, but during that first iteration, I was messing around with this young lady. It was a time when I was trying to work things out with my wife. So I had my wife, and then I had a girlfriend, Ebony, and then I also had a side chick. And so the girlfriend, Ebony, like she was a hardcore Christian. Like she was Seventh Day, and so she wasn't giving up the pussy till we got married. And I wasn't trying to get married. And then just eventually I broke her down, and we fucked. But she wasn't trying to fuck a lot. And so that's when the side chick came in, who was actually she was in the Army as well, and her husband was deployed. And so there would be times when I would go from Ebony's house to the side chicks, or side chicks to Ebony's house. Hey, good times, good times. And so yeah, had dinner with her. I was hoping we could have fucked, but that didn't happen. But it was cool to catch up with old times. She's doing well. And then so I think I spent about a week in Colorado Springs, and I'm just eating like trash. I'm staying in the Airbnb, getting fast food, just eating terribly, not doing no yoga, but it's all good. So from Colorado Springs, and mind you, I'm winging most of this trip, and so Colorado Springs, I knew I wanted to go to Vegas, but I wasn't. I was trying to keep my drive time under 8 hours. And so I was like, all right, so I'm not going to drive all the way to Vegas. What's in between Vegas? And I had a choice. Initially, I was going to do Salt Lake City, Utah. And I was talking to my brother, and he's like, yeah, it's pretty white up there. Is there another option? And so I'm looking. And actually, I was talking to my cousin. Shout out to Billy. He was a former bobsledder on the American bobsled team. Really fighting a good fight for bobsledders and CTE. But we were talking. I was telling him eventually I wanted to get to Joshua Tree, and he was like, "Hey, have you tried out Sedona? It's similar to Joshua Tree, same vibe." And I was like, "All right, bet, check it out." And so it was a little bit further than I wanted to drive. So I was like, all right, let's go south. And so that's when I was like, all right, bam, that's Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so drove down to Albuquerque, and while I was in Albuquerque, I think I don't know, I might have to check out the Snapchat or some shit, but my I saw the ex-wife of my one of my good friends in the army. Shout out to Scylla, and she was in New Mexico. And I was like, hey, I'm in Albuquerque, for a few days. And she's like, oh, cool. I got a cousin in Albuquerque. I'll actually be out there tomorrow. And I was like, all right, bet. We hadn't talked in a while. I know she had dealt with a lot of mental health stuff, and it's funny because even when I was in grad school, one time I ended up telling her, I was like, hey, I want to fuck. And so kind of things got awkward afterwards, but time passed. So she actually came up to Albuquerque, and we linked up at her cousin's house. So got down there. It was good to see her. I hadn't seen Scylla in the flesh since they left Germany, because they left Germany. Her and her husband at the time, Rome. They had left Germany before I did. And I was actually supposed to go. They went to Fort Hood. I was actually going to go to Fort Hood as well, but I turned down a 6-year contract. I'm glad I did. And so she was up there. I ain't gonna get through half these damn topics, but it's all good. But we're gonna run through them quick though. And so it was good to see her. We went to I rode with her to, I think, a friend or another family members, and on the way there, she's playing. I'm playing her some of my music. She was making music with her son, and the music that they made, it was so fucking dope. And just in my head, I'm thinking like, yo, Scylla, we need to collab, because I'm like, we could make something work. I'm already production ideas in my head. And the only thing she was dealing with, she was battling with schizophrenia, and also she had a gun charge. Like, I don't know if it was attempted murder or an assault or one. She actually, because of her paranoia, she ended up shooting this one dude that she was fucking with. And so I was like, damn. Briefly, she was like, "Can I run away with you to Mexico?" I was like, we can't do that. But we it's funny. We go to the next spot, and she's about to do some coke, and she's all like, "Hey, you mind if I do this right here?" I was like, "Do what you need to do. I'm not gonna do it right now. I ain't gonna do that shit. Go ahead." So she do the coke. We hang out. I'm just smoking, and then we head back to her cousin, and then she's in the bathroom for a little bit, and it's funny because the cousins do, and like while in the living room, there's his wife and then his kids. But then, oh boy, he comes. He's like, "Hey, I need you to come back. Hey, come back to this back room real quick, to the bathroom." I'm like, "Oh shit, did Scylla die?" And it was like, "No, no, no. We about to do. We about to do some blow. You want to do something?" I was like, "No, no, I'm good. I'm good. I ain't done blow since undergrad, and I had a seizure doing blow and Zans too close together, and so I was like, y'all could do y'all thing." So that was cool. Then we leave there, and before I leave, oh boy, he ended up giving me like a quarter of weed or something like that. And so yeah, so I go back to the Airbnb because Scylla's about to. She's going to Las Cruces. That's where she's staying for a little while. Cause she was staying in Phoenix, Arizona before, but because of the whole gun case, she ended up losing her place. Like it was just a big old mess. So she was staying down in Las Cruces because she had her mom had an Airbnb down there. So we get back to the Airbnb that I'm at, and I'm like, she was like, I use the bathroom. I thought about shooting my shot, but I was like, oh no, I'm good. It's just the vibe ain't right now. And so I was like, all right, but so she leaves, and then she's like, hey, when are you leaving for your next spot? And I'm all like, oh, I'm leaving. I forgot which day it was. She was like, hey, yo, you should come down to Las Cruces. Let's hang for like a day at least. And I was like, bet. So I end up I changed the scheduling of the Airbnb for Vegas, dip down to Las Cruces, hang out with her, and I'm showing her band lab. Like I was like, hey, we can collab on here. And so while I'm down there, I was all like, we just hanging out. It was cool. And then I was all like, hey, this isn't a this whole road trip is an adventure. I'm just trying to see where I'm on time. I'm trying to think, do I want to break this thing up? Yeah, you know what? This has been an episode of Barracks Bunny Podcast. When I return, I will tell you about the rest of this road trip adventure, and then we'll go ahead and get into the rest of the show. That's it. Hey, I ain't got no fucking editor, and I don't feel like doing all this shit myself. All right, that's it.